have three special people, and then following that, we'll have a time for open mic sharing. So Scott, come on up, okay? Well, thank you, Pastor Chris. Like many of you, I'm still trying to come to terms with the fact that Jill is gone. It just seems so unbelievable to me, and I just can't quite see a picture of my life without Jill in it. So I have some work to do on my own head. And I know I don't need to speak to any of you about the inside or outside beauty of my sister Jill. You already know that, or you wouldn't be here today. Just a very, very special person. So instead, I'm just going to reflect on a few memories and maybe a few thoughts that a sibling might share. For example, growing up, we moved a lot. Like, seriously, there was one time when the moving people were offloading the moving van into our new home, and my dad came home from work and said, "I've been transferred." So that's moving a lot. And we were just really lucky to be raised by our folks who encouraged us to cast such a wide net of friendships. So it would be a new town, we'd start to make friends, it was time to move on again. And what distinguished Jill from the rest of us was her ability to collect those friends and keep those friends for the rest of her life. So when Jill was sick, we heard from neighbors from 60 years ago. Of course, we heard from all kinds of family, but high school friends, college friends, work colleagues, and equally important, the friends that Jill met on her travels all around the world, because to meet Jill is to become a friend with Jill. I have to mention a special group of friends. This is a group of women that 55 years ago graduated from Rich East High School in Park Forest, Illinois. And they would meet on one side of the country or another for these long ladies-only weekends. And by Jill's account, this was just an eclectic, a caring group of women. And the name of the group, the Dangerous Babes. Barbra Streisand famously sang the song People. The lyrics so remind me of my sister. One of the verses is first, be a person who needs people. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. And Sister Jill loved and needed people. She befriended the down and out and the high and mighty, and it was really easy for her to make friends. She had 1,000 friends on Facebook, and I'm certain tens of thousands of friends in real life. I knew Jill, of course, differently than you did. I knew the Jill that was a Girl Scout brownie in second grade. I knew the Jill that won a statewide butterfly swimming competition in the state of Illinois as a young teen in her age bracket, and later became a lifeguard. I knew the Jill that her grandpa Pete called Princess, and I knew the Jill that drove a mail truck. You saw a picture of it back there, and delivered mail, unheard of 50 years ago for a young woman. Very, very different. If you were lucky enough to have Jill as a house guest, as my wife Sandy and I did many times, you'd know about the bottomless carry-on bag that she had. She just could never go anywhere empty-handed. So, from that bag, she would gift us with produce from the garden, maybe some cheese and crackers, hummus, little hummus dip, a loaf of just baked specialty bread, and maybe not quite ripe pears from her and Perry's pear tree. But most important was the much loved and coveted Jill jam. It was such a blessing to see Jill so happy when she met and married Terry and moved into this community. And the Camino Island community embraced Jill. She made fast friends this church, big part of her life. And Jill and Terry had 10 great years together where they just traveled the world and had so many experiences together. And you know, nobody in this family ever thought we would lose Jill so early in life. But it's important to recognize that she lived a life way beyond her years. She saw so much more than some people do that live to 100. My wife Sandy and I visited Jill from our home in Spokane in December, and again in January and in February before Jill passed in March. And we just had an opportunity to spend hours talking. And we talked about everything, our folks, fun family stories, our kids when they were little, our cousins, grandparents, just all the things that siblings would want to talk about. And we also talked about all the different churches that we were members of and all the communities we lived in, as church membership was really a focus of my folks. And it was just remarkable to see that although Jill knew her time was short, she was just so confident and comfortable in what the eventual outcome was going to be, and that she would meet Jesus. All of us have our faith tested at one time or another. Jill wasn't ready to leave us, but she sure never doubted where she was going. And I take so much peace with that. I know many of you followed Jenna and my entries on Caring Bridge. In 3 months, we collected over 500 comments, mostly from people that just wanted to share about special moments with Jill or recollections or sayings, things that they did together. We're recording this service, and we will upload this, the recording of this service onto Caring Bridge, and we'll upload it onto YouTube, and we'll post the link on Caring Bridge. Jill and I were both blessed with one attribute that's gotten us through the toughest times, and that is that we were raised to be positive. I can just hear my dad, you gotta think positive. And you know, not Pollyanna, because tough things happen in life, but just a can-do resiliency, and that is my sister Jill. We should all strive to be more like Jill, loving, playful, loyal, and positive. I want to close with a poem that our mother wrote in 1990 as she faced her own battle with terminal cancer and died at the age of 63. It's titled Pensive Mood. When I die, please think of me and all the beauty that you see. The things that I enjoy the most: a sunset, flowers, rocky coast, the new mown grass, a passing breeze, the sunlight shining through the trees. If you would take a moment's thought, review the love that we have brought each other, friend or family tie, then I'll be happy when I die. Now I'd like to introduce my niece and Jill's daughter, Jenna Holland.
Thanks.
Hi. Thanks for being here. Just let me gather myself for a moment. I'm just gonna read you a letter that I wrote to my mom. Mom, you are pure sunshine. You've always been that way from a time I could first remember. You're eternally optimistic, kind, genuine, and full of love. You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I know you would tell me I'm being biased, but it's true. Your inner beauty shone outward. Dad used to call you Beamer because your smile could light up any room. You were a celebrator of all things big and small, and you loved people. You never met a stranger you didn't try to make your friend, and your friendships were your life's work. When I think of you, Mom, I'm hit with a profound sense of gratitude. I'm grateful for all the things you shared with me that you loved. You burst into song at every opportunity, taught me all the songs of the 60s, and had dance parties with me. You always made space for me in your garden with a special flower bed just for me. You found a way to achieve your childhood dream and mine by finding us horses to care for seasonally, and we would spend hours out in the pasture riding and brushing them. We sang together often, in the car, or when you were practicing your guitar, or at family sing-alongs around the fire pit at Sasheen Lake. You taught me how to swim there, and later, when it became a passion of mine too, you went to all my swim meets and water polo games. In college, you taught me how to play guitar, and taught me that through singing on the guitar, there are special places that we reach in our hearts. You always made me feel seen, loved, and protected, and you believed in me in my heart. Wherever you were was home to me. Sometimes it's amazing to me, all the things you accomplished in your life, but then you were always a highly motivated person. You had the most energy out of anyone I've ever known. You had an incredible lust for life, and you wanted to show us a larger world, so you took us on your work trips. You had the best job as a flight attendant, and you were excellent at it. When I was a child, you took me on as many work trips as you could, and they became like subsidized vacations. You put me to work during the longer flights, and I remember those days passing out peanuts during the drink service with you in the aisle. If I didn't get seated in your section, you would always sneak me treats from first class. We went lots of places together, but you always had your favorites: Hawaii, Japan, and Amsterdam. You taught me how to pack, how to negotiate jet lag. You taught me how to sleep anywhere, which is a special skill of yours. You were my favorite travel companion. I've heard it said that the way a daughter experiences the love of her mother will forever color the lens through which she gives and receives love. For that, I'm also grateful, because you were pure love. Sure, you were human and got frustrated and hurt by others, but you always saw the best in people and always believed they could improve themselves. Because you loved so well, you taught me how to do it too. And because of you, I have so many wonderful friendships in my life. And I owe that in part to you. I'm also grateful to have walked this path of illness with you. You were diagnosed for the first time with breast cancer when I was 17. And because of that experience, I became a nurse, helping other families navigate the impossible. Thank you for allowing me to see you vulnerable. Thank you for allowing me to help you. And thank you for letting me watch how you rebuilt and continue to thirst for life and experience after each battle or illness. This year, when it became obvious that the thing I had feared my whole life, losing you, was happening, you offered your grace, your honesty, your love, and your trust. Thank you for letting me be there for you, and for teaching me how to do this last step so beautifully, inviting all your loved ones in. Thank you for showing me how to have grace and gratitude for the time given, even if it's just extra time to say goodbye. You had so much grace, and I'm so proud of you and your beautiful slide. I don't know how I'll do the next steps in my life without you, but I know I'll keep all the lessons you taught me in my heart. You have always known there was limited time and chose to live life to the fullest. I will always be grateful for the time I was able to spend with you during the last months of your life. the conversations we had, the honesty, and the love we shared. Before you died, you told me, love feels like such a small word for what we have. But all I have to do is look into your eyes, and I see it all. I love you, Mom. I'll miss you for the rest of my life. I love you to the moon and back. A poem from my grandmother, Jackie Eymer. I will not cry. I will not cry. I know you didn't really die. I know you live on in my heart, so we are really not apart. If death were final, then it seems that life is nothing but our dreams, and faith in sweet eternity will keep us close and set us free. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to introduce Pat Clark, who is a dear friend of Mom's, who is also going to speak.